probably over at least the last 10 or 15 years that I can think of.
Okay.
You might also, Mary or Julie, the one talk about what federal funds.
When you say they fund 11%, is it just a flat rate of 11%, or do they say we will fund however many students you have up to 11%? Anything above that you're on your own, or are they just giving everybody a flat 11% so that if they have less, they're using that money for something else?
If they have 10%, they're funded at 10%.
Okay.
If it's 11%,
Is your max?
it's max. Thanks. Good question.
It is part of the state school funding formula that sets aside $18 million for the districts that have over the 11% cap. And we share that across the state with the districts that also have an increased special needs population over the 11%.
But we still don't manage to get everything back that we're having to spend because of the special needs of these kids,
Yes, that is correct.
which we need to treat them like everybody else, and we need to, I guess, holler louder or whatever it takes. But it sounds like it's an ongoing problem that they're not facing in reality, you know, with the continuing problems we have. The other question I had, and maybe you were going to answer this, was the relationship between the ESD in providing services to the special education. And my question was about, are those employees school district employees, or are they ESD employees, and what?
There's some of both, and Julia might be able to talk more about that.
Yeah, we have, when the ESD offered to flow through money to school districts, we elected to do that, and we hired our own behavior coaches, so behavior specialist coaches and technology from special ed, the behavior coach, and the rest are speech pathologists, and our specialty areas are occupational therapists and physical therapists, and nursing services are through the ESD.
Okay. All right. So because I know I've had questions asked, how does this, you know, how does it relate, and who are their immediate supervisors? Are they like, can the school district move them from place to place for meetings, and how does all that?
We collaborate with the ESD.
It's, if it's right.
So we collaborate with Wilmot ESD and their administrators on where our needs are, and we try to make decisions based on people that have been in certain buildings to maintain them in buildings, or have people move out of the district if it's not a good service for us, either a good match or a lack of service. It's been a good relationship. They've done a good job in our buildings. The principals in buildings and the special ed teachers in buildings work very closely with the specialists and to make sure our needs are met for our kids.
Okay, very good.
Good
Thank you.
relationship.
One more question on the money. Did you say it was $6,000 per student?
Yeah, if you look at the weighted ADM, $6,700.
How, realistically, how does that cost? I mean, how did they decide that it was $6,000? Does that really cover anything, or are we locally?
Is it the actual second weight? So do you want to explain?
It comes through the funding formula, which flows through the state.
So it's strictly a formula number. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual dollars and dollars we need.
Right.
Just a reminder of how we fund, and where that number comes from, is that each session, the legislature says, we're going to fund school districts at this amount. And then what we do is we take the number of students in Oregon, and we divide it by the number of, the legislature gives it, and that's how that number comes about. Some of the students who are special ed nominated have a weighting beyond just that amount. Isn't that correct?
The high cost disability formula?
No, I'm talking about some designations receive more than $6,000. Are some of our special ed students double weighted?
That's the 11%. They used to do kind of a formula piece where they would look at different categories, and now it's just a blanket 11%.
I guess
That's
others.
just a secret society that in
So
the
there's no
business
double
end.
weighting anymore?
Not beyond the 11% that I'm aware of.
How about with,
So special
Yeah.
education
All the
students are
11%.
double weighted.
so
That's
it's
double.
it's not accurate to say they get 6,000, they get 12,000.
Right.
In general,
They're getting it on top of their first rate. So, $12,000.
Thank you.
Well, so really, are you saying that the waiting for students in the district is relatively $6,000? Special education students have an additional $6,000? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right, 11% of them.
next to it.
Okay, that brings us to our superintendent's report. And Mr. Burley, you're going to talk about enrollment.
Thank you. I think actually Mary's going to talk us through the enrollment figures.
You guys have got sheets on the table.
Just remind Colin. That's on the front.
It's on the front.
On the front.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to push the top.
There we go. There, now I'm on. Sorry about that, everyone. I know how much you like to listen to me talk. Enrollment is a moving target. We take a point in time, and it's the first few weeks of the school year, and we compare them to that week of the prior year, and those numbers go up and down. We do those comparisons because they are important. We look at class sizes, we look for trends that are going on at the above classes and those types of things. But the true number that is used for budgeting is the October 1st number. It is the actual kids enrolled at the last Friday of September, and we call it October 1st. So in my world, that's a very important number. And the handout that is on your table is the historical information and the current information on that number, or on that day. And what you see here is the numbers are just up slightly. So we're pretty on target of how we thought we were going to start the school year. What you're going to see from this year forward, that came out of House Bill 3197, which is a requirement now that the schools have to call home if the student is not present that day. And that's pretty critical because each of the schools, the first month of the school year, do different things on how they withdraw the students and how they make contact. So moving forward, those weekly numbers compared to each other will be much more realistic than they probably have been in the past. I just wanted to clarify, once again, what we talk about when we mean enrollment. Enrollment is different from average daily membership. And we are funded on what they call ADM, and ADMR is average daily membership resident, average daily membership weighted. So what it is it's the actual kids in the seats during any particular day, the kids present and kids added to the kids absent, and divide that by the number of days in session. So this is cumulative over the entire year, and that is our average daily membership. So if a student was in the seat on the last Friday of September but left October 1st, we don't get the full year funding. We only get 1 day that month of funding for that student. So they are two different things, but they do have a relationship to each other. I do a historical tracking of what the October 1st number means based on what we actually funded and received. And we're about at 95, 96%. Of the 100 that are enrolled. So I use a formula and I look at the historical data when I budget the actual funding formula. So if you went to ODE and happen to be interested in our state school funding report, that number is going to be different than this attendance number. So, any questions about enrollment? Very exciting.
I have a question. So I think last month we were concerned that enrollment was down. The good news here is I don't think it's down as much as what we anticipated.
That's correct.
Report on WESD.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Things got very busy in my office late Friday afternoon in regard to the ESD. I'll just remind the board that the legislature passed a law this last session that would allow school districts to withdraw from Willamette ESD. They can also, school districts can withdraw from Baker ESD and I believe from Multnomah ESD. It's an unusual piece of legislation. I got word on Friday that Salem School District, Woodburn School District, Newburgh School District, and McMinnville School District intend to withdraw from the ESD. Now those school districts represent somewhat over 60% of the students of our region. That leaves a number of school districts remaining, including Central School District, Silverton, Dallas, and a number of very small school districts. The law says that the boards must pass a resolution intending to withdraw from the ESD by November 1st. So it's creating lots of action in the region. Ordinarily, what I would say to the board is we don't have enough information to know what the impact of that will be on our students. We can tell you that we are intricately related to the ESD. We have lots of different folks who work in our district for the ESD in all different areas. So before I can recommend the board to take some action in this regard, it takes a lot more information than we can generate in that short period of time. My understanding is that from some of the districts who have not declared their intent to withdraw from the ESD, they may do so, even though it may not be their intention to do that. And they would do so because it leaves their options open for them. And the 1st of March is when we have to actually declare that we will no longer take services from the ESD. It is a very complicated issue in this regard. Some of the districts who intend to withdraw obviously are assuming that they can purchase those services cheaper or better somewhere else. What we don't know is those districts who are withdrawing, will they continue to purchase services through the ESD? Now, why is that important? It's important because what it boils down to for us is we want to make sure we get the best service at the best cost for our kids. But we won't know that probably well into the spring as to whether that cost benefit is there for us. So at this point, what I would say to you is that I will bring that information to you so that you can be thinking about it. But it may require a special board meeting later in this month to make the decision about whether this board wants to file an intent to withdraw from the ESD. What I would like to be able to do in the meantime, we are the first board to meet in the October board meetings of all the boards in the region. So what I would like to do is to keep abreast of what other districts are doing and then perhaps set a board meeting late in October for you to make that decision at that time. One of the things I've been doing today and also late Friday night was talking with the superintendent in Dallas. It's both her and my intent that it would probably be best for those two districts to make a decision in concert. Because really what it boils down to is if the ESD is to unravel entirely, it will probably be up to our two districts to take care of the two smaller school districts in Polk County because really it's probably a threat to their very existence. And we want to make sure that we can be good neighbors in that regard and take a look at the school districts both in Perrydale and Falls. So this is just to bring that information to you. We would get out something to you when I know more about what other districts intend to do and then have a special board meeting later this month. Can I answer questions